living longer, living healthier, living better than ever before. Welcome to Mountain Pacific's Healthy Living for Life, a weekly series that gives you the information, education, and expert insight you need to become an active participant in today's ever-changing healthcare climate. Here now is today's program host.
Happy New Year! We've completed another orbit around the sun, and that means closing the books on 2018 and getting ready for 2019. But before we do, we want to take a few minutes to look back at the past year and the topics we've covered on Healthy Living for Life in our mission to help you do just that. Today, all our hosts are here to talk about some of our favorite shows and topics, and hopefully some of your favorites too. We'll start our 2018 Healthy Living for Life year in review right after this. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Joining us first this morning for our Healthy Living for Life year in review, our fellow hosts Sarah Medley and Janet Whitmire. Ladies, thanks for being here and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So Sarah, let's start with you. Looking back on the past year, what stands out to you as a great topic?
We've had great guests, great shows, but our own Mountain Pacific pharmacy staff stand out to me. Drug costs, drug medication errors, critical topics.
Perfect. It is a critical topic. Let's take a look.
The more you know about your medications and the more you talk to your healthcare providers, the more educated you will be.
Yes.
And the safer you will be with your adverse drug events. So like I've always said, be very proactive. And then lastly, an interesting tidbit is that as we age, we process medications differently. Yes. And so medications that you normally wouldn't have a side effect to, you may find that you're now suddenly having side effects to them. So if suddenly some new symptoms appear, you might want to talk to your doctor about if they could be related to the medications you've been taking.
If you're using one pharmacy, which we highly recommend, they're going to have that complete list and share with them your over-the-counter medications. So I think that's really imperative. The other thing you can do is you can take all of your medicines in a bag to your doctor's office when you have a visit so that they're able to reconcile with the medicines that are on their list that they have on record there as well. And I think also another key point is that if you're in a hospital situation or a nursing home and you're transitioning, to ask questions. Make sure you understand, and it's important also, I remind people, take notes. If you don't have something that's printed out for you, even if you do, it oftentimes is very helpful to jot down notes to help you keep things straight. So make sure to do that.
Keep a list of all of your current medications, you know, the over-the-counters, the natural supplements, vitamins, you name it. Put it on your list and carry that list with you. Keep it in your wallet or in your purse so that you have it. You take it to your appointments, take it to your pharmacy if you need it. And also make sure that someone you know knows about this list and knows where you keep it in case you have a medical emergency and can't speak. They can just pull it out and say these are what that person is taking. Another way to reduce risks is just be an advocate for yourself. Yeah. Ask questions. You know, when you get a new medication prescribed, ask why. Ask what could be some of the side effects. Should I take this with food or should I not take it with food? You really want to look into all of those types of things.
Coupons can be a little misleading or a little deceiving at times because they might cover you or lower your copay, or in some instances have no copay for a limited period of time. But after that time period is up, you may be forced with the full price of that medication that's now no longer covered by your formulary. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to ask your pharmacist about how that coupon works and what the ramifications are and the time limits that might be associated with it.
If you fill your prescription, you're there at the pharmacy, and you realize it's going to cost hundreds of dollars, right at that point in time, have the conversation with your pharmacist and ask them if there's something that might be less expensive that would work for you. The other part of that is to make sure that you don't pay for your prescription and leave the pharmacy if you have a concern about cost, because once you leave the pharmacy, you're going to be stuck with it.
That there are a lot of medications that are now on the market. Every year, more and more get released to the market. And last year, they had almost like it was like a 21-year high record. They had 46 new novel medications released, which was double from the year prior. So just with more people, more drugs available, it just sets us up for more adverse drug events.
Make sure that you have a routine in which you're remembering to take your medicines. If you need to set an alarm, if you need to work that around a specific time of day, you take a walk, you have dinner at a certain time, that's important. If you need to, you can certainly get a pill organizer. These are available in all kinds of different sizes, shapes. They can hold lots of different pills. They can be used for once time a day. If you're taking things up multiple times a day, there's multiple compartments for those, so that's really important. It's important to keep a medication list, keep an up-to-date list of all your medicines, what they are, what they're used for, how often you take them. All those kinds of things. You can make a list on your computer. Some folks are very into that, and so that's easy to do. Keep the printed copy of the list with you. Make sure you take it to all of your doctor's appointments. That's extremely important. And regardless of your system, just make sure you're consistent and you do that stay up with that, because it's important to take things as they're prescribed and make sure you do that routinely.
We really have done a lot on medications and medication safety, but it is an important topic, so thank you, Sarah, for that. Janet, how about you? What's one of your favorites?
Well, I think healthcare costs and healthcare insurance are a real concern for folks after, especially retirement. So I like to focus on revisiting what we did to help people with that information.
Great idea. Let's see what we have.
In the old days, we used to actually, when somebody looked at retiring, they most likely had their home paid off and their costs were reduced. Well, with healthcare, that's not necessarily the case anymore. And the medical inflation rate is averaged over the next 10 years to be about 6%. So it's important when we start looking at that long-term planning process that we try to incorporate that while we do it. So right now, a couple would probably look at about $750 a month in terms of their Medicare B, D, and supplemental premiums, which is about $9,000 a year. Then if we start looking at adding dental, that's about $11,000. And then if we start looking at glasses, because usually people have glasses for reading at some point, now that number looks closer to about $12,000 a year.
Under age 65 and they're thinking of retiring, there's many different things they should be looking at. Do they have COBRA eligible to them? What is the cost? Have they already met their maximum out-of-pockets and deductibles? Or is it better for them to maybe look at an individual policy? They can either go direct to the company or they can look through the healthcare.gov and the federal marketplace.
So what we usually do is we talk about what is your current health situation. Obviously, if somebody has a health condition right now, I have a couple that have some pretty significant health issues out there, and planning for how that will progress. You have a general idea, but still it's that crystal ball that we don't really have to say what an individual's health care is going to look like going forward. So usually what we do is we look at current numbers and we say, a compliant patient who is following doctor's orders is probably going to have better outcomes than somebody who doesn't. Sure. And just try to work as best as we can with what we have with current knowledge.
Thank you so much for letting me talk about SHIP, because they are the most wonderful advocates that you could find. They're a statewide network of counselors who are extensively trained in Medicare, and the SHIP piece of it stands for State Health Insurance Assistance Program. There's one in every state in the territory, so we are a national program, and they are delivering no-cost, objective information to the beneficiary, or the beneficiary and their family, or just the family. Whoever needs that information can come to the table.
There are several different plans available for long-term care. The most common type is called an expense plan, or expense policy, and what it's designed to do is cover whatever that daily, monthly, or weekly expense, depending on how the plan is structured. And so it pays out so much per day and covers that expense. Long-term care is one of the most expensive things that people will deal with in their life when it comes to medical care. And so, especially if you've accumulated assets and you want to protect those assets, having something in place to handle that and help with that, like a long-term care policy, is really helpful. And that's really what they're designed to do.
There are still more topics to revisit from 2018 on this special edition of Healthy Living for Life. Stay with us.